Hello, hello, hello.
And welcome to the Hildebrand Law Firm topic for today.
I'm Kirsten Hildebrand,
And I'm Matt Kaplan.
and today we are going to talk about the very interesting situation that does come up frequently nowadays, and that is my child is doing so well that I think I might not need to give him anything. Maybe I will disinherit him and leave the funds to some other entity, or maybe leave the funds to another child who's not doing so well. These are really interesting
Yeah.
dynamics that can come up in our conference room when we are talking with people about how to handle that transition of wealth to the next generation. So, seems to me like there's a couple of different categories. The first category is the child who is doing very, very well and certainly doesn't need the money, but other children in the family are not doing as well, and they've been given benefits over the course of the parent's lifetime. And then the ultimate question becomes, do you then do an unequal distribution based on how well the child has done, or said differently, what their needs are? What do you think?
It's so difficult. I'm sure you get a lot of clients that have that one kid who became the rocket scientist, and then that other kid who's a starving artist. And
Yeah.
it doesn't mean that they love those two kids differently. And so in that situation, there's a lot of things to consider. What does the kid feel about that? Have you already had that conversation with the kid who's doing well? Yeah, they might not need the money, but something that you mentioned earlier is that it's not always about the money.
Right. And so, yeah, we were talking off camera to begin with, and we were saying that this is an interesting situation because money is representative of something, right? It is usually representative of hard work or sacrifice or effort. And of course it represents something that can happen in the future. You use money to buy certain things, so it really is an interesting thing. It's currency.
Yeah.
It's not in and of itself valuable. I mean, what is a dollar really worth in terms of the paper that it's written on? It's not worth anything. But when it gets attached to certain things, it has meaning. And in the same sense, a parent's love can sometimes attach to money and possessions. We have seen that, where who's getting the family silver?
Sure.
Who's getting the family china? How is that distributed? Is it done in a haphazard manner, or is it done in a way that is deliberate and thoughtful? We have people who come in who have a sense of sentimentality, and they are looking to make sure to clarify who gets X pieces of jewelry and whatnot. And then we have other people who come in who say, we're not sentimental at all, and we'll just leave it up to the kids. And so I just wonder, I'd love to be a little fly on the wall with some of the situations where there's no attention given to who gets what, to see how the kids handle that. I would say, probably generally speaking, people do very well. But then there's others where maybe it represents something. I'm the oldest child, therefore I should get the coat of arms. I am the youngest child, therefore I should get the tea set. Those are the types of things that people are talking about and thinking about all the time.
And it's interesting too because an inheritance can be a couple of things. On one end, it could be, I want to encourage certain behavior. Perhaps I'm going to leave the majority of my money to you because I want you to use it. I want you to get on your feet, like your better doing sibling. But it can also reward behavior because you spent so much time at our lake house up north, because you fixed it up and you brought your kids there. I want to give it all to you, not you and your sister. I just want to give it to you. So with those types of behaviors, it could almost be the lasting message from your parents or from your loved ones
Mm.
as to how they feel about that item, as to how they feel about you. And so it's definitely something to consider.
I have just finished up a case where it's literally a family of doctors, and they're all doing extremely well. And they are fighting down to the very penny in terms of exactly what the distribution should be. And they are fighting over an absolutely equal distribution. And I find that very interesting because none of them will need the money in their lifetime. Yet, that money represents something. It represents, well, we insist that our parents love us equally. I think that's maybe what's happening.
Sure.
And the money represents that at the end of the day, we believe that all of us should have been loved equally, even if we weren't. And therefore, the money is going to be distributed equally.
Sure. Yes, exactly. So if it's something that you want to do, these are just some things to consider. I have no issues one way or another. It's 100% up to the client how they want to do it. If they want to help out one child that needs help and maybe disinherit or underinherit the other child because they're doing really well, it's really all a matter of what the client wants to do.
Yeah, and I think another interesting element of this is really what culture or
Mm,
background you come from, because certain cultures, they just are very giving, and whoever needs what, and everything all seems to be even somewhat communal, right? Like everybody is happy to help whoever needs a flight from here to there, or whoever needs educational assistance or that sort of thing. And then other cultures are much more, say, boundary oriented in terms of, this is my pile of rocks, that's your pile of rocks. And we're not, it's whatever you earn is what's ever in your pocket. And so I think sometimes those cultural backgrounds can really feed into what the decision is as to what kind of percentages to leave to the kids. Now, I will say this: what's the safest thing to do if you've got a bunch of children?
even.
Because
Just make it even.
make it even, make it easy, right?
Right.
And then nobody is going to be thinking that they were somehow disenfranchised in some way.
And that brings up a fun point. One of my favorite clauses that I love pointing out to people that's within the trust is called the contest clause.
Oh,
I love this clause because the contest clause says that if any of the kids try to challenge the amount that they're getting, guess how much they get? Nothing. Big fat zero, goose egg. We want to, because here's the thing: you're entitled to this money. It's a gift. Take a gift. My mother-in-law always says, "You get what you get, and you don't get upset."
oh, I like that.
That's
I
what she
like
says.
that.
And
Mm-hmm.
so, even if you're just getting 1% of something is better than 0% of nothing. And so,
Yes.
something to consider as well.
I think that is a very good point. I think a lot of people who inherit start to think this is something that I deserve.
Mm,
And that's not necessarily the case. You
no.
didn't earn it. It's by virtue of the fact that you're in this family. That's all well and good, but I'm not sure whether being born makes you deserving of the inheritance.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's an interesting one.
I mean, I'm under the philosophy that no one, really deserves anything in this world. You got to earn it. And your parent could have easily written your name when we were doing the design of your trust, or they could have written my name. They could have written Kirsten's name. They could have written a charity that they like. Just by virtue of you being their child,
Right. There's
you're included.
no obligation under the law that you have to leave your stuff to your
Could have
children.
been anybody.
You can leave it to anybody that you want to. So, yeah, all really interesting things to think
Yeah.
about. One thing, though, that I want to emphasize is that when people come to Hildebrand Law Firm, I think we find that it's very important to listen to what their desires are, what their wishes are, and what their unique situations might be, because it is always very individual based on what's going on in that family. And so that's actually one of my favorite parts of doing estate planning, is really digging into the family and who they are, and determining, okay, how can we make sure that the goals that are put forth by the people that are coming to me for estate planning are actually effectuated, and there's not going to be a disturbance there, meaning litigation.
Sure.
And so I think that's the beauty of this is it's whatever you decide, whatever you want to do, we're going to get you from A to B.
Love it.
And so thank you so much for joining us because we are very interested in helping you in your today and your tomorrow. And we will see you next time.